Hello and welcome to Extra Dry with a Twist, an interactive show that combines education with entertainment. I'm your host, Matt Lupica, and we have an exciting show for you here tonight. But first, let me introduce to you a man with many years of experience behind the bar. I'm talking about Sean Doherty.
Hey, everybody. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about bourbon, but before we talk about the history about that, I wanted to introduce you to some people. Fantastic job, Ed. Thank you very much. Introduce your band for us.
Sure. We are Standard Procedure. We've got Jack Butler over here on the upright bass. We've got Henry McDougall on drums, and I'm Eddie Nicholson.
The two drinks we came up with today are the Old Fashioned and Manhattan. Both have history with the bourbon. And to complement those drinks is Chef Tim with some great food. How you doing, Tim?
How's it going, Sean? How are you today?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Excellent, man. Especially once we get some of those drinks going, I think we'll all be a little better.
A little looser, that's right.
But going along with that today, we're going to be pairing up with, keeping along with the bourbon. We're going to be doing some nice little appetizers that are nice and easy and everyone will be able to do at home. We have a nice bourbon, soy, and ginger kebabs that we're going to be putting together.
Bourbon has a long history in America. In the late 1700s, the United States was in debt $25 million due to the Revolutionary War. They decided to tax all of the distilleries in America. Well, they had a choice. Either they could pay a flat tax or they could pay per gallon tax. Well, the per gallon tax kind of took people out of the competition with the East Coast bigger distilleries. And the Scotch-Irish in Western PA refused. That began the Whiskey Rebellion. It lasted for 3 years. Thomas Jefferson, the then governor of Virginia, decided to go up to them and give them an ultimatum. Either you pay the taxes or you can move down in Old Bourbon region, which ended up being Bourbon County, Kentucky, and grow corn. Well, the rest is history. Because of this, we have a corn mash whiskey that we now call bourbon.
Before the show, we selected an audience member at random to come up and participate in the first segment, in which they will have Sean make a drink for them of their choosing. Now, before the show, we selected Connie. You want to come up here, please? Gentlemen, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Hello.
Good to see you. Good to meet you.
And we'll be right back to see what drink Connie has made for her right after you. Watch this. Welcome back to Extra Dry with a Twist. Now, before the commercial break, we selected Connie to come up here and participate in our first segment, in which she will have a drink made of her selection. Connie, what do you do for a living?
My husband and I started a printing company in 1984, and we do printing and copying right here in the Fairlawn area.
Now, what drink would you like to have Sean make for you here tonight?
Well, I've heard that Long Island iced teas are always a favorite here, and but Sean, do they really have tea?
No.
No?
As a matter of fact, it consists of 4 white liquors out of the well and some sour mix, all equal parts, with a little Coke, and it tastes just like a sweet tea if you make it the right way.
That's for me.
All right, awesome. I'll make it for you.
Now, while he makes that, Connie, do you host a lot of parties at home, or do you enjoy going out on the town, or what do you like to do for, just whatever?
Well, actually, we do a little bit of both. We have a lot of friends that like to come out, especially during the summertime, and do parties on the deck. What I don't have is a good at-home bar kind of situation. You just gather everything up and put it on a table, but perhaps at some point I can learn how to do it right. And then we also enjoy going out. This is a great place where Sean works during the evenings, and it's a great place to come and just relax, chit-chat with friends.
Nice plug. Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Now, when you do host parties, how do you know, for people watching at home, how do you know how much to get of certain things?
It's pure trial and error. Over the years, with friends that you get to know and build relationships with, you kind of know what their favorites are. but there's always that little thing at the bottom of the invitation, BYOB, okay? Or BYOF, bring your own favorite. So that's how we get around some of the things that are a little more unique to some tastes. So.
Well, it looks like Sean has the Long Island prepared for
There you go.
Why don't
Take
you
a
give it a
look.
try and see what
All
you
right.
think.
We'll see if it passes the test.
What do you think about that, Connie?
That is yummy.
Thank you very much.
It's just right. Just right. I've never had, actually, honestly, never one this good. And you're right, the blend and the proper amounts, perfect.
And a couple good shakes. I do have to add, you never add tequila to it. I think it's the biggest mistake a lot of bartenders make. It overrides all the other flavors. So that you could taste the tequila in it, without question. So it's always best just to leave it out.
How about that? Nothing but rave reviews. And no, we didn't prompt her to say that before the show.
I gave her $20.
Not at all. It was 50, right?
Well, Connie, thanks for coming up again.
Thank you, I appreciate
Ladies and
it.
gentlemen,
Yeah,
Connie.
thank you very much. Thank you.
And Sean's going to take us to our next segment. He's going to demonstrate how to make the Manhattan and the Old Fashioned.
The Old Fashioned and Manhattan have a lot of history. The Old Fashioned is the original cocktail, at least the name cocktail derives from what the Old Fashioned is today. And it's kind of changed through the years, but in 1806 the word cocktail was mentioned in a publication in Hudson, New York, and the editor came back a few days later and said, well, this is what it is. It's and I'm going to read off my notes, I apologize, but I wanted to do the quote verbatim. A potent concoction of spirits, bitters, water, and sugar, a kind of bittered sling. Sling was a known name for the drinks that they would make and mix together, and it was usually, in this day and age, we made a lot of punches. America, the United States, is what familiarized everybody with the single drinks that people would like, and we're the ones that came up with it back in the early 1800s. And right now, first off, I'm going to make you a Old Fashioned. What that consists of is an orange slice. A fresh orange slice, by the way. I just cut these right before the show. Take a cherry, take the stem off. A packet or 1 teaspoon of sugar. And a couple dashes of aromatic bitters. I take my muddler. This is a muddler, by the way, and you muddle it together to where you blend in the flavors. Then you add 2 ounces of bourbon. In Wisconsin, this is familiar with brandy. As a matter of fact, a lot of people say this is where the fruit came in with this drink. Originally, this didn't have the fruit. And what they do up in Wisconsin is they use brandy and a splash of 7-Up to make it sweeter. You can use, I mean, it's your preference. You're the one drinking it. So, but since we're talking about bourbon today, I wanted to make this. And Tim, I can't drink both these drinks. You want to have this one?
Oh, you know how to keep the chef happy over here.
I know who's feeding me.
That's right.
Now next I'm going to be making a Manhattan. It's a little simpler of a drink. The interesting history on this is, folklore has it that Jenny Jerome was hosting a party for Samuel Tilden. And Samuel Tilden was a presidential candidate back in the 1870s. Well, the nice thing about, the neat thing about Jenny Jerome is she is actually the mother of Winston Churchill. But I don't know if it's true or not, because at that time supposedly she was in Paris pregnant. So, and plus, it's also known at this time that back in the 1860s there were drinks going around called the Manhattan. The original Manhattan asked for 2-to-1 sweet vermouth to bourbon, or to rye whiskey. But it's kind of changed through the years, and now it's 2-to-1 bourbon to sweet vermouth. It kind of changed up a little bit, but I'm going to make the current day one. And what it takes is 1.5 ounces of bourbon, 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth. These 2 other things are optional, and you need to ask your customer this first, but I like to add a couple dashes of bitters and add some maraschino cherry juice. And you add a cherry for a garnish. And there you have Manhattan. I'm going to toast my friend over here, Chef Tim.
Cheers to that.
And we'll be right back to see what's cooking with Sean and Chef Tim right after you watch this.
So, okay, today we got a couple different things going. Like I was talking about earlier, we have some nice chicken kebabs going with pineapple ginger soy glaze,
Fantastic.
which Sean's going to get us started on the kebabs over here and start building those. So we have different ingredients here. We have some nice fresh green bell peppers, some yellow bell peppers to add some nice color to it, a little red onion, chicken, and some pineapple to add a nice sweetness. So Sean's going to go ahead and get these cut up for us and start putting some together. In the meantime, I'll start showing everyone how to build the glaze that we put over top of it. Now, when you make this glaze, you're going to actually break it down into two parts because you want to put it to where you have some that you can put on the chicken before it's cooked, and you also want to have some that you can put on afterwards to finish the sauce, and that really accentuates it at the end. Use a little bit of, this is actually a blended oil. We use 75% canola and 25% olive oil because different oils actually have different smoking points, so they heat up differently. Olive oil actually has one of the lowest smoking points of all oils, so it will start burning too early. So when you actually mix that in with a little bit of a canola oil, it gives you a little more heat you can work with.
So how long have you been doing this?
Well, I have been cooking professionally for about 13 and a half years or so.
Wow.
Long time ago, it almost seems like a lifetime ago. So started out at the Sheridan Suites back in the day, and then went to culinary school and traveled around for several years after that, and then ended up deciding I wanted to come right back home here to Ohio, and here I am.
Wow. Oh, and I got to cut these up too,
It
right?
keeps me busy. Yep. Cut the pineapple into, you want to keep the pineapple in nice little thin pieces, not too thin because then when you try to skewer it, it'll actually break apart and fall apart on you.
Like right there?
You want to go a little bit thinner than that.
Oh, thinner?
Yep,
Right there?
about there. That's
Okay.
good. So nice little chunks, and then we're actually going to cook all these together, and then all those flavors start to melt together. Now, we're getting back into springtime, so it's grilling days just about for sure. So I actually suggest these are best if you take and go and put them on the grill, build yourself a nice little charcoal basis, and then you want to actually set them around the outside area of it to cook so it doesn't burn too much and it cooks nice and slowly and everything stays soft and tender. And then also though, if you're doing them for a party or anything, you can just put them on a sheet tray and put them right up in your oven at 350 degrees. Takes about 10 minutes to cook, and they come out fantastic like that too. Great for the winter months.
Huh.
So we'll go ahead and get our sauce started here. I got a little bit of garlic, about a teaspoon and a half. About 2 tablespoons of shallots. And one of the things that really sets this glaze off is fresh ginger. You want to take that down, you want to mince that up real nice and fine. And I got about a tablespoon of that. We're going to get that moving. You can see in the pan the garlic starts to brown on you. That's called toasting. That happens very fast. And once that happens, you want to go ahead and get your bourbon in there right away to stop it so it doesn't burn. And you might want to step back for this part. Always do it off heat,
Oh, yeah.
so that doesn't happen in your face.
Oh. You know what?
We'll be fine.
Okay.
There's no fire marshals here, right?
I might be showering here before I wanted to.
Come prepared, Sean.
All right, fantastic, Tim.
But actually, in the process of this, what the flames are is we're cooking out the alcohol. Alcohol burns off much faster than any other liquid. It actually evaporates around 150 degrees Fahrenheit as opposed to 212 degrees Fahrenheit like water does.
Now, a lot of people have this misconception you're adding alcohol to something and you're going to get a little drunk if you get it. I mean, the alcohol burns off, right? You don't have any alcohol at all.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to get you any more drunk tonight by the food that you're going to eat.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. This is his job. My
That's right.
job is to keep you a little more level-headed. But no, actually about 95 to 98% of the alcohol will burn out. So now that we've burned off all of our alcohol, we're going to take some pineapple juice. Put that right into the pan, and we're going to let that start to reduce down a little bit. So when we reduce that down, all those flavors that we had are now leaching into the pineapple juice. The pineapple juice is sweetening them up, and as that reduces down, once it comes back to a boil, it's actually going to concentrate all those flavors.
Oh,
Now some of the other ingredients we have here, just the last two for the glaze, is actually what's called a sweet soy glaze right here. It's essentially a reduced soy sauce, to where it's reduced down to where it's almost a thin molasses consistency. It's very sweet. It will actually help bind the sauce together and hold it together a little better and help coat the skewers that we're making. How are your skewers coming along?
they're okay.
They're okay? I think they look rather nice.
Oh, thanks.
It's not doing too bad here, is he, people? It's nice and colorful. Yeah.
Chef Tim, if I'm doing this at home and I'm putting the bourbon in and I saw those flames go about 3-4 feet high, what am I doing in my kitchen? Where am I in my kitchen? Because I don't have all this overhead space.
Okay, well, if you don't have all this overhead space, really the flames actually are not very hot because they're dissipating very fast. So you're not really going to burn anything up too much. Now, if there is something like you have a microwave above your stove or something like that, as you can ask my parents, I have melted a microwave once before. So part of the price you pay having a chef for a son.
And plus, always prepare to drop and roll. That's always a good.
Always,
that's
it's always good to plan ahead, always. And so, but you know, you can basically at that point pull back, because if it doesn't light up, you can pull off the flame. And if it doesn't light up at first, just kind of tilt your pan a little closer to the flame and it will light up. Then you can pull it back away, and as long as you keep stirring it a little bit, it'll keep burning the alcohol, because it's already lit itself. So it'll keep on burning.
Very good, Tim.
All right, fantastic. So now our pineapple juice has reduced down a little bit, and so we're going to add in a little bit of our sweet soy. Get ourselves a spoon to mix that around with. As you can see, that's quite a thick consistency right there. So it's going to water down into the pineapple juice. All right, then we'll let this heat back up. Now, one of the problems you have, if you were to reduce this down to where it got very thick to where it would actually be a glaze, all the flavors would actually concentrate too much. So you want to add in a thickening agent that's going to help thicken it up. And for a sauce like this, all the more you really need is just a little bit of cornstarch and a little bit of water, which I have right here. You just want to make sure you mix it around nicely so there's no lumps in there. That's the best thing, because if you have a lump in there, you're going to end up with little dough balls in your sauce. And with cornstarch, they're not very tasty. This isn't Spätzle.
You know what, I got a quick question for you. Too.
All right.
How do you get the chicken so tender?
When you cook the chicken, actually, one of the best things is that we're going to brush this. And if you have the time, you want to brush the chicken in the raw state and let it sit overnight, because then all of the bourbon and everything is going to seep down in there, and it's really going to help tenderize it because of all the acids in the mixture we have here. Also, one of the things is that just barely cook the chicken enough. So you actually want to cook it just a little under, because you have what's called carryover cooking. It's where the food is still hot, so it still continues to cook after you removed it from the heat. So now we have our sauce, and with this is actually referred to as a slurry, a cornstarch slurry. You want to add just a little bit at a time, because it's actually very effective. And it happens almost instantly in front of your eyes, so you can see it start to thicken. We'll just get another little drop in there, and that'll do it.
Now, another question. This is something I had talked to you about before. When I used to cook out, I used to wrap all of my food in aluminum foil and cook it, thinking that it was just going to cook better and more well-rounded when I did that. Now, you told me something that's very interesting, especially with chicken. It tends to toughen it up.
Yeah, actually, if you're looking for like a nice hard char on something, you know, direct heat is great, but you always hit that point where you have all the char that you want and you don't want any more. What you can then do is you can wrap the item in foil, but you need to make sure you keep the ends open so that any steam created can escape. If you close the ends up, the steam actually tightens and cooks. It's one of the fastest forms of cooking, and it tightens the muscle strands too fast, and it will make your meat tough. So you actually want to avoid that process altogether. So okay, now we have our glaze. It's thickened up nicely. So what we do, we'll separate it off into two different containers. One container is for when you're working with it raw. The other container is for when you're working with it cooked. So now we'll just take, and this is usually the process where I do it overnight. You want to go ahead and put some of this on there. And if you can give it the opportunity, let it sit overnight, just like this. Wrap it up loosely in saran wrap, and then let it sit and marinate overnight, and it'll make it more flavorful. If not, don't worry, it's a flavorful glaze, so it's still going to be great if you have to work with it instantly. And at this point, you can either take them right over to your grill, keep them on the outsides of the grill, otherwise the soy will burn, and just let them cook nice and slowly till the chicken is cooked all the way through. Or you can put them in your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 to 8 minutes.
Very good.
So then at that point, you want to take your glaze, just put a little more right over top. Moistens it back up and really accentuates that flavor. I have a little balsamic reduction in the bottom of this.
Wow.
And there you go.
Fantastic. And we'll be right back with Sean's last call right after you watch this. And welcome back to Extra Drive with a Twist. And here's Sean with tonight's last call.
Before I give the last call, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today. What a great show. And thanks, Matt, for...
And thanks a lot.
I always promised myself that before I, did a show like this, that I would explain the responsibilities of drinking, because today, in today's age, a lot of people take the bar scene as in the wrong way. And what I think everybody needs to realize is it's important to know that your responsibility as a drinker. Understand that there are laws and regulations. Understand that there's people that are going to be around you when you're driving home. Just make sure to take responsibility in your own hands and be safe and make sure everybody gets home safely. And if you don't want to be safe, just have a designated driver or a taxi home. That's about it. And what a great show today, huh?
It's a great show. I mean, really exciting.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say for the cameraman Dan and Adam, the band, what a great band today. Audience is fantastic. And for Chef Tim, this is Sean Doherty. Thanks again for joining us. And until next time, cheers. Thanks.